If you've been scrolling through endless specs sheets, watching video after video trying to decide whether a 14-inch workstation is worth the premium, this review is here to cut through the noise. I get it, you're balancing the need for raw power with the reality of a laptop you actually want to carry around, and the fear of splurging on something that ends up gathering dust. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's break down what the Dell Precision 5490 actually brings to the table, who will feel that every penny, and who can safely walk away. First off, the Precision line is Dell's answer to the "I need a laptop that can run professional-grade software without compromising on portability." That means you're not looking at a consumer notebook that can handle a few Photoshop edits. You're looking at a machine that's been tested with things like Autodesk Revit, SolidWorks, and Premiere Pro with GPU acceleration. The biggest hesitation I see people have is whether the extra cost over a high-end consumer laptop translates into real-world productivity gains. In other words, will the extra RAM, the certified graphics card, and the workstation-grade drivers actually speed up your day-to-day tasks, or are they just numbers on a sheet? The 5490 ships with an Intel Core Ultra 7 165H processor, paired with 32 GB of memory. That amount of RAM isn't just for bragging rights, it lets you keep dozens of heavy applications open at once without the dreaded slowdown when you switch from, say, a 3D modeling session to a massive Excel spreadsheet full of financial data. I've seen professionals describe their workflow as multi-window chaos, where they have a CAD view, a PDF of specifications, a video preview, and a web browser all running side by side. In that scenario, 32 GB keeps the system humming instead of grinding to a halt. The screen is a 14-inch QHD Plus panel with a 2560x1600 resolution, and it's touchscreen. For a designer who likes to sketch directly on the display with a stylus, the pixel density makes line work feel crisp, and the touch interface lets you rotate models with a flick of the finger. If you're a video editor, that extra vertical real estate means you can see more of your timeline without constantly zooming out. The downside? That high-resolution panel sips battery faster than a typical full HD display, so if you plan to be away from a power outlet for a whole day, you'll need to budget for a spare charger or a power bank that can handle the wattage. The discrete graphics card is an NVIDIA RTX 1000 ADA with 6 GB of VRAM. In practice, this card shines when you enable GPU-accelerated rendering in programs like Blender or when you apply Lumetri color grading in Premiere Pro. The 6 GB memory isn't massive by desktop workstation standards, but it's more than enough for most 4K video timelines and for handling moderately complex 3D scenes. What you won't get is the kind of raw rasterization power you'd find in a dedicated gaming rig, but that's not the point of a Precision laptop. If your work involves running simulations or training small machine learning models locally, the ADA architecture gives you a noticeable edge over integrated graphics. Storage is a 512 GB SSD. For a professional who deals with large project files, think 3D renders that can be hundreds of megabytes each or 4K video clips that amount can fill up quickly. The SSD is fast, so loading applications and files is almost instantaneous, but many reviewers point out that you'll probably want an external drive or a cloud backup solution to keep your archives. The good news is the 5490 supports easy upgrades, so you can add a second drive later if you need more space. Now, let's talk about the real-world scenarios where this machine shines. Imagine you're an architect who needs to visit a construction site. You pull up the latest Revit model, make a quick annotation on the touchscreen, and then switch to a PDF of the building code all on a single device that fits into a standard backpack. The combination of the QHD Plus display and the stylus support means you can literally draw over the model, a workflow that's clunky on a non-touch laptop. Or picture a field engineer using SolidWorks to troubleshoot a design issue while on a plane. The Workstation-certified GPU ensures that complex assemblies don't lag, and the 32 GB of RAM means you can keep the entire assembly loaded while consulting the technical manual. If you're a video content creator who travels to shoots, the 5490 lets you ingest 4K footage onto the SSD, start a rough edit on the go, and then hand the drive off to a more powerful desktop for final rendering. The GPU acceleration cuts down on the time it takes to apply effects, and the high-resolution screen lets you catch color nuances that would be missed on a low-res panel.